Okay, good morning. So we're starting a new simon today, Reish Ches Tzadi. He changes the letters around. There should be Rotzach. It says Reish Ches Tzadi 298. Dine Ner Havdala. So the next couple of days we're going to be focusing with Hashem on the candle, the Havdala candle. It says the Machaba, Mevarech al Haner Beirei Ma'irei Ha'esh Im Yeshlei. If there is a candle, you make that bracha. Ve'en etzarech lachzer acharov. And you don't have to, to drive yourself mad or to make too much effort to try and find the candle. It's similar to what we said on the Besomim. That the Mechaber said in the beginning of the previous simon, that Mevarech al Besomim im yesh lo, v'im ein lo, ein tzorech lachzer achareihem. V'hani mili b'motzei Shabbos. When that is true on a regular Motzei Shabbos. Ava b'motzei Yom HaKippurim, yesh omrim shemechaza acharov. On Motzei Yom Kippur, it's more important to make the bracha of Beirei Me'orah. And there you should make every effort to make sure you have a candle. Says the Ramah, Mi she'ein lo kais lahavdil kasheroi ha'esh mevarech olav v'chein ha'besamim. So if someone hasn't got a kais for whatever reason, you haven't got any wine, you haven't got a kais for Havdala, then the other brachas are independent. You still make the bracha of Beirei Me'orah ha'esh and on the besamim when you have those. Okay, says the Mishnah Berurah, Sif Katan Aleph. So mevarech al haner Beirei Me'orah ha'esh. Why do we make the bracha on a candle on Motzei Shabbos? Mishum de tchilas briyosei have Motzei Shabbos, because the creation of fire happened on Motzei Shabbos. The Gemara says that. But Motzei Shabbos nosan Kodesh Baruch Hu deya ba'adam harishon. He gave him intelligence for tochan shtei avonim zubazu, and he took two stones and rubbed them together. V'yotzam me'enar, and that created the first ever fire. V'hod mevarchin, and therefore we sort of commemorate that event by making a bracha on Eish on Motzei Shabbos. Even though when Yom Kippur is during the week and we still do that, that's a different reason. It's also distinguishing. Because the whole day on Yom Kippur it was forbidden to use a flame, even for Eichel Nefesh. Because Yom Kippur is different. There's no heter v'eichel nefesh on Yom Kippur. V'achshav mutzah, now on Motzei Yom Kippur, it's mutzah. V'lekach das hayesh omrim t'tzorech lachzer acharov k'mei lehavdala. So the reason we do the candle, the flame on Motzei Shabbos, is to commemorate the fact that Adam Rishon created the first ever fire on Motzei Shabbos, and the reason we do it on Motzei Yom Kippur is because to differentiate the inability to use a fire on Yom Kippur, and now on Motzei Yom Kippur you can. Okay. And therefore we try and make every effort to if we haven't got a flame on Motzei Yom Kippur, to try and find one. He says in footnote number 2, this is in the back of the Sefer, just a short one, I'll read it to you. For Heisif Lekamon, in Tofresh Havdala, this is in Hilchos Yom Kippur, I think. Shetama bracha hu lahiras sheyom ze kodesh mishayom tovim. To teach us that Yom Kippur is different to other Yom Tovim. V'nes lahavi bo'esh v'achshav mutzah. On other Yom Tovim, fire is you're allowed to cook and do these things. Not on Yom Kippur. And now Motzei Yom Kippur it's mutzah mishum kachna sheves ha'esh kedava chidush. And therefore Motzei Yom Kippur is like a chidush. V'mevarchin aleha, and you make a bracha on it. V'haisif. That's why you dafka try Motzei Yom Kippur to make a bracha on a ner shavas that was like a yotzei candle, something you sort of used that it was resting the whole of Shabbos. It was lit. It was lit the whole of Yom Kippur. Because that candle, we couldn't get hana from that candle on Yom Kippur, and now Motzei Yom Kippur I can now get hana from this flame, and that sort of highlights the difference. Because I was never also from this one, but it's now Motzei Yom Kippur. Okay, that's the minhag to use a ner shavas. Okay, now we make a bracha Beirei Me'orah ha'esh. Now, Ma'orah means lots of flames. So why? To come and Nahira Ikbanura, because there are lots of different shades of light, of colors in the flame. Levana, Aduma, Yeruka, white, red, green. V'imama Ma'or ha'esh. If a person made the wrong brach and said, Baruch Atah Hashem Elokeinu melech haolam Beirei Me'or ha'esh, in the singular, Das habachta lo yotz afilu b'diavad. You're not Yoytze even b'diavad. Ve'im Omar Bora Moirei Hoish, instead of Boirei, you use Lashon Ovar in the past tense, then Lashon Ovar, then Yotza b'diavad Yoytze. Ve'in et Tzarech Lachsa Achrov. And Motzei Shabbos, if you haven't got a flame, you haven't got a flame. You have to push yourself too hard to get it. She'ein mevarchin el zeicha shenivra ha'or b'Motzei Shabbos, because it's only a sort of a commemoration of the fact that fire was created, as it were, on the Motzei Shabbos. V'alkein yuchel it was discovered. V'alkein yuchel levarach al ha'kois afilu b'linei. Therefore, if you haven't got a candle, you can do the rest of Havdala just without the candle. Mosai she'is daminach kach she'yira eish. And then later on, if you manage to get hold of a fire, and you make Gehanah from it, then you can make Yivarech Borei Ma'orei Hoish. And you only make the bracha on the flame on Motzei Shabbos. The other Zman was once the Zman of Motzei Shabbos passed, then no longer. And that's why on Motzei Tisha B'Av, which falls on a Sunday, you don't make a bracha on the candle on Motzei Tisha B'Av. Okay. Misha ein loy kais. It's only Motzei Shabbos. Misha ein loy kais. Ve'im meshash is damen loy kais b'layla. If you estimate, let's say for example, that someone's going to bring you a kais or some grape juice or wine, and you want to learn before someone brings you the kais, which you can use for Havdala. The best thing to do is learn and wait until you get the kais, and then you do the full Havdala once your kais has arrived. Okay, Sif Beis. Mitzvah min hamufcha levarech al avuka. To use a torch. A torch means many flames. V'yesh mi she'omer she'im ein bo lo avuka tzorech lahadlik nei acher v'tzorech Havdala chutz me'anei hamyuchad loher b'bayis. That if you've got one candle in the house, then you should not use that. You should use an additional candle. It doesn't have to be a massive torch. Even if it's got 2 wicks, that's called an avuka already. It says the Mishnah Berurah al avuka she'oira rav, that it's got a lot of light. V'tov lahada she'eshel shaiva, that you will use a wax candle. Oid kosu b'shem ha'sefer chasidim shelo yikach atzei de mishchan. She'korin kin b'lashon Ashkenaz. It's mipnei she'reich ra. That oil has got a bad smell, and you shouldn't use that. That it's when it's got a bad smell, like zephes is tar, I think. You can use it on Friday night. Unless the smell is so bad that you might leave the room. Ner Shabbos is stricter. It's a chayva, and the Havdala candle. So how come on Motzei Shabbos you can't use this, and on Friday night you can? Even though it's got a very strong light, it's not the mitzvah min hamuvcha to use it. But it's, if you push comes to shove, I guess you can. So if there's no other candle, then you can. Now, interestingly, there's a very interesting footnote. Motzei Yom Kippur, he says in footnote number 7, you don't need the avuka. But you don't need that. Mishum shedavka Motzei Shabbos she'ikar habracha u'lezecher b'rias ha'esh tzorech ribui or. The main bracha Motzei Shabbos is to commemorate the fact that Adam Rishon discovered fire. Masha'en came Motzei Yom Kippur. But the difference is on Motzei Yom Kippur she'ikar hadlaka u'leharis sho'esh sho'isa asura ad kai hutra, that the eish that till now was forbidden is now mutar. But zeh efsheh shedai b'ner in psila achas. And therefore, to demonstrate that, it's enough to have one wick in the candle. So it says Reb Shlomo Zalman that on Motzei Yom Kippur, if you haven't got a wick with 2 candles, then it's okay, because the whole point is you're showing that the flame was also till now, and now Motzei Yom Kippur I can use it to show that Havdala.
And Yom Tov, which falls also on Motzei Shabbos. You also have to use 2.
Yeah.
Talks about it.
Yeah. So if you look, the next thing, yeah. So
you have to use 2. That you do need 2.
Yeah. So then, then you should try and use avuk, I think. Yeah.
It's very difficult to do.
Oh, so he says, yeah, no, very good. But in a situation, normally the Havdala candle's got 2 wicks,
Exactly.
so there's no problem.
Yeah.
So, but the question is, if you take 2 candles like that,
Yeah.
so on a regular Motzei Shabbos, that's what you should try and do if you haven't got any other candle.
Right.
But he says when Motzei Shabbos is Yom Tov, you shouldn't, because it's quite easy to extinguish the flame,
so
and that's a problem. So don't. Then use 1 wick. Yeah, then 1 wick. Yeah. Now the big question is, what about using an electric light? On when Yom Tov? No. So then, what you should do is you should use your Havdala candle or something like that. Or sorry. If you haven't got any other candle there, to take, we can do it inside. But to take 2 candles and put them together, do it. But just be careful not to extinguish the flame. That's the main thing on your kippah.
But they sell 1 candle with 2.
Yeah, that most Havdala candles have got 2 wicks, and therefore there's no problem.
No, they sell especially for Motzei Shabbos 1 candle.
Right.
With 2 wick.
Right, so therefore that's called Navuka.
Our Yotzai candles, those things, is 1, right?
Yeah.
You can't use that.
Let's just read it. Look, in Mechol Yom Tov Motzei Shabbos, for Reitz Hadik Ner Noisev Letzorech Havuka, Das Haganu Shlem Zaman Arbach, She'av She'anu Eisekein Letzorech Ha'ar, Ele Kedei She'el Havuka L'Mitzvah. Mikol Makom Misabesh Muta. It's Mistomer, it's muta to, even though it's considered a muta, it's muta to use the extra candle. V'oid She'kivin Shelamaisa Yesh Bener Haisif Tesefes Eira, it will gain extra light. Nech Shavadova Ketzorech K'tzas. That's considered a tzorech k'tzas for allow you to light on Yom Tov. Okay, but the interesting one is in. All right, let's get there. We'll get it in a second. Let's just do a bit more Mishnah Berurah, and then we'll get to footnote number 8. Ner acher. So what is this going on? Don't use the 1 candle that's already illuminating your house. You should use an additional candle. Mishum heka shehu l'shem mitzvah sifkoten zvov. That it's a heka that you're doing this l'shem havdala. V'nir demari ba'ofen she'eni yochel l'karev es haner hazel l'ner shebebeisa. You can't bring the 2 candles together. Dilafoch yochel l'kai mitzvah avuka. Because if you could, then you can be makayim the mitzvah of avuka, i.e. 2 wicks. Sifkoten zayin. L'tzorech havdala. What's that? But otherwise, if you've got an already existing flame, for example, in the old days before electricity, you've got a flame. If you need to, then you can just use that. Back in the day, the regular ner that Chazal referred to was an oil lamp. That the 2 wicks can get close together. That's called an avuka. If you've got like a bowl of oil and lots of wicks floating in it, that's not called a torch. It's sort of woven together. You can hold 2 of them together. That's called an avuka. You hold them together, and that's called an avuka. Now, there's an important note in number 8. What about making a bracha on an electric light? That's a big shayla. So a person could be in a hospital, you could be in a hotel room. Can you use an electric light for Havdala? So he says there in the 2nd paragraph in footnote 8, birchas haneh al to'iris hachashmal shebizmanenu, on the electricity nowadays, koshev b'shal yeshuvas har tzvi, shehagon bal hatzofnes paneach, that's the Rogatchover. Hitir lasos kain. He allowed you to use an electric light, mishum she'to'ira zu nechsheves ka'esh l'chol dova. He felt it was considered like eish. And he goes, that's when you've got the old lights. Now, nowadays, we don't have those lights. There's an incandescent light. You've got a little bit of metal, and that heats up, so he felt that's proper ish. Masha'enke, nowadays, the fluorescent lights, that's not proper electric lights. And he says the same thing, and famously, he brings at the end here, the Rabbi Chaim Gudzinski, and he did it. And he himself did it on Motzei Shabbos. He would use an electric bulb. Why? He wanted to show this is proper eish. He wanted to show that you can't use electricity on Shabbos. Now this is, Chaim died in 1941. So in the 1920s, 30s, whenever, that was when electricity was sort of coming to the fore. So he wanted that. But, interestingly, he brings here, and this is the famous psak of Rav Moshe, if neither candles nor matches are available, you can use matches if you haven't got candles, some authorities permit reciting the bracha over an unfrosted incandescent electric bulb. If unfrosted bulbs are unavailable, then you can use frosted incandescent bulb, okay? However, he cannot use a colored bulb of a fluorescent light. That doesn't work. However, Rav Moshe Feinstein rules that a bracha cannot be said over an electric bulb. And that's really his psak regarding Hadlokas Neiros on Friday night. And it's the same din here. And there's a machlokes whether you can fulfill an obligation with lighting candles on Friday night with electric lights. Most authorities are of the opinion that one may indeed fulfill the mitzvah with electric lights. A woman in hospital, for example, Friday night, or in a hotel, if there's nothing else, and may even recite the customary bracha. However, Moshe Feinstein argues and rules that we may not rely upon electric lights for the fulfillment of the mitzvah. And therefore, the minhag is not to use electric lights. And Chaim was using, he did it lefarsim hadova, and it was different. It wasn't for fluorescent lights, but the minhag is not to use electric lights for Havdala. Okay, so.